Are you tired of worrying too much in your life? Are you someone who's tired of thinking too much, complicating your life, complicating your tendency to take action, and you don't get the results that you want? If yes, then I hope this video gives you the answers that you're looking for. Hi, I'm Sumedhan Ramesh, and in this video, I'm going to answer the question how to deal with overthinking and take actions and improve accordingly. So, two of the causes, in my opinion, two of the reasons as to why people overthink in general is because one, they have higher expectations either of themselves or of other people, and two, it is because of unresolved problems, like they have certain problems that they haven't resolved and they still are trying to run away from it or get away from it. So the first reason or the first cause, which is higher expectations, if you either set higher expectations for yourself or if you set higher expectations for other people, you might find it difficult to meet those expectations with either in yourself or in other people, and because those expectations are not met, you easily get disappointed. I'm not saying that having higher standards or higher expectations is itself wrong. You definitely can have higher standards or higher expectations, but trying to have expectations which go against what is actually happening around you, trying to set expectations which are not pragmatic in nature and still expecting certain results or still expecting certain outcomes is what is going to create problems, and also would lead you to have delusional thoughts or a delusional mindset because you don't understand what is going on around you and you don't understand how the reality works. If you do understand how the reality works and if you do understand what is going on around you, how people around you behave, so on and so forth, you will be able to set higher standards and higher expectations and still be able to meet them. So that is one of the realm or aspect of not being able to meet higher expectations. Usually your inability to meet higher expectations either in yourself or in other people could be based on you having a certain belief set of how the reality works, or it could also be based on something that you expect other people to do, as in you expect other people to behave or act a certain way, but they don't behave or act in the way that you want them to behave or act, and so that actually ends up as a higher expectation that you set for other people. So more exposure that you get in the real world, the more you are trying to the more you're willing to make changes in the way you interact with people or the way you interpret your own actions and your own thoughts or beliefs or emotions or opinions, the easier it is for you to manage your expectations and bring it to the right level. So if you do have higher expectations, what tends to happen is that because you're not meeting those higher expectations, you'll start worrying because you don't meet them and you start getting disappointed in yourself. And the moment you start getting disappointed in yourself, you start thinking too much. And this now becomes like a feedback loop where you start worrying and then you worry more and it just keeps increasing. And you get too frustrated and too irritated and you just start putting yourself down and call yourself certain negative names or negative terms, and you find it difficult to push yourself through challenges. You find it mentally exhausting to keep putting yourself down. So those are the problems that you end up with because of higher expectations. The second is unresolved problems. So unresolved problems are those thoughts that are in your subconscious mind, that are lurking in your subconscious mind, and you know those are problems that you need to face and you know those are problems that you need to solve, but you are not doing anything to solve them. You are not trying to take the necessary steps and take the necessary actions in order to solve them. So problems in your mind could be based on certain thoughts, it could be beliefs that you're trying to change or understand, it could be emotions that you're trying to deal with or get over, and it could also be social calibration or social intelligence, you trying to develop this skill of being able to interact with other people to the best extent possible and you are struggling in certain aspects. And the final reason could be you know you need to develop a skill set, you know you need to act upon this particular activity and develop skill set in this craft, but you're not doing it. You know that you need to work on some particular project or a task, but you're not doing it and you're procrastinating. So all of these are unresolved problems that people would generally have in their mind. And the more you run away from it, the more you prefer to avoid addressing those problems, the deeper the problem becomes and the more difficult it is for you to solve these unresolved problems in your subconscious mind. And it'll become even more challenging to address them, whether it be trying to change those beliefs, whether it be trying to get over the emotions, whether it be trying to critically think and understand what those problems are based on logical analysis. It'll become even more difficult because you're spending more time running away from it. You're spending more time not understanding the root cause behind it, or not understanding what is it that this problem, this subconscious thought is trying to say. So you will find it difficult to keep pushing through certain challenges that you have to push through. And again, even this leads to mental exhaustion. And when you do have these unresolved problems and you're trying to run away from these unresolved problems, you will start to overthink. You will start to worry too much because you know you have these problems to solve. And by knowing you have these problems to solve, you still choose to run away from them and you still choose to not solve them. So you just keep worrying too much and thinking too much. So I did describe briefly what the consequences of overthinking are. I'll say it once again. The consequences of overthinking is lack of motivation or burnout. So when you have this tendency of not being able to push yourself through, when you do not have any motivation to take an action, or when you feel like you have this burnout in you where you just are too exhausted, whether it be psychologically or physically, those are the consequences of you overthinking or worrying too much. If you're someone who has this habit of overthinking too much or worrying too much, you will have the side effects of feeling like you don't have any energy to take challenging actions, to get work done which is challenging in nature, and you will also not have any motivation to do so. So the 6-step process that I would suggest you guys to follow, and there are certain steps that you don't need to pay more attention to. There are certain steps that you might have paid attention to in the past. So I leave it to you guys which of these steps you need to follow in order to deal with overthinking and be able to take necessary actions to improve. The first step is to be more mindful. So whether it be trying to develop a habit of meditation as a ritual on a daily basis or on a regular basis, or just trying to do anything mindful, as in you take breaks when you need to take breaks, or you do long walks in nature in some place where there are trees around you. Being more mindful helps you to have this ability to silence your mind. And when you have this ability to silence your mind, when you develop the skill to silence your mind, you also develop an ability to have better clarity, and you also develop this ability to focus better on tasks that are more challenging. So being mindful is going to help you in almost every aspect of your life. And if you guys look at mindfulness as something that is too cliched, or it is something that is not going to benefit you, or if you don't believe in yourself that you could be mindful, then I suggest you to do something. You can start with simple, small 5-minute breaks on a regular basis. You don't need to necessarily make it a ritual. Just doing something on a small quantity and keep doing it on a consistent basis, you will eventually be able to tell yourself, convince yourself, and develop a self-confidence that you can be mindful. And the more you are able to tap into the silence in your head, the easier it is for you to deal with overthinking, and the easier it is for you to deal with negative thoughts as well. So if you are able to deal with negative thoughts, you can solve problems easily. The second step is to find the healthy activity that acts as an escape. And the emphasis here being healthy. So obviously, choosing an activity that is healthy, or choosing an activity that is going to give you some benefit, is worth choosing, instead of choosing an activity that is going to waste your time and that is actually going to be detrimental to your progress, either detrimental to your mindset or detrimental to your health overall. So those could be like trying to do empty scrolling on social media, or any bad habit for that matter, which could be related to some sort of a vice, some sort of an addiction. If you instead choose healthy activities like exercising or some sort of a hobby, or it could even be simple activities like writing, which might not be your hobby, which might not be an interest for you currently. Like you might be someone who has absolutely no experience writing down your thoughts or writing down something on a piece of paper. If you are developing a healthy activity and you use that activity as an escape, you use that activity as a means to release emotions or as a means to do something such that you can get over this confusion or this clutter that you have in your mind, which is acting as a obstacle. You will be the because you are taking this action, because you're doing something, whether it be doing it on a piece of paper or using your hands to do some activity, it helps you to let go of that clutter or let go of that confusion or irritancy or that obstacle that is there in your mind. Usually people come up with these obstacles because they overthink or they worry too much, and you do not have an escapism, or you do not have this healthy activity that acts as an escape. Because you do not have this activity as an escape, your ability to deal with those obstacles become even more difficult. So I suggest you guys look into developing some sort of a hobby or some sort of an activity that you can use as an escape. The third step is to do something nice for someone else. So there is a problem in this step, and I want you guys to take this with a pinch of salt, where usually most people, when they think of doing something nice for someone else, they might do it based on some sort of a selfish approach to it. And there's absolutely nothing wrong in being able to help someone based on some sort of a selfish approach to it. We all are selfish to a certain extent, and we all have our own problems to solve and our own needs to meet. But if you are someone who's trying to always validate your ego and always validate your identity based on trying to help someone else, then you will not be able to benefit from this to the best extent possible. The reason as to why doing something nice for someone else is going to help you deal with overthinking is because it helps you develop a mindset of gratitude, and it helps you develop a mindset of being helpful, like offering value and solving problems for other people. And because you're offering value for other people and you're helping other people, you appear as someone who's more nice, and you appear as someone who can, like, other people would want to associate themselves with you because you're a nice person and you're willing to solve the problems or offer help to them. And so doing something nice for someone else with the intent of helping them, with the intent of solving the problems from a place of gratitude, from a place of wanting to help them, is going to create a mindset that can deal with overthinking in a much better manner. So that is a benefit of doing something nice for other people, is that you can easily deal with overthinking, and you can easily deal with your tendency to worry too much or having anxiety because you are helping someone else. It enables you to not think too much because you're doing something for someone else. And if you are doing something for someone else where you're trying to validate your ego, you will run into problems where it will become more selfish in nature. So I want you guys to remember that as and when you're trying to help someone, if you know whether you are validating your ego too much, trying to bring it down a bit, and if it is not that much related to your identity or ego, and you just want to help someone for the sake of helping them, then there's absolutely no problem. It is going to benefit you, and you will be able to deal with overthinking. The fourth step is to have gratitude for your successes. Again, there is a problem in this where you might be someone who might realize or who might acknowledge that you haven't had a lot of successes in your life. You haven't faced a lot of challenges, and you still have expectations for yourself where you want to achieve something and you are actually preparing to achieve that stuff. So you haven't achieved that success. You still want to achieve it. If you are one such person where you have something to achieve and you still haven't achieved them, what I want to look at is to look at the small progresses that you're making or the small wins that you're making. And when you look at the small wins that you're making and when you acknowledge those small wins that you're making, it is going to help you develop gratitude because you acknowledge those small wins, even though it is not a huge success or a huge achievement. And by doing so, by developing this gratitude, it will become much more easier for you to face problems, and it will become much more easier for you to achieve that thing that you truly want to achieve. If, on the other hand, You are someone who has achieved certain successes, if you achieve certain things in the past, but right now you are in a situation in your life where you are facing more problems, you are demotivated, or you are struggling to solve a problem, and you are putting yourself down when it comes to trying to achieve something different, trying to achieve the second or third achievement, and you are in that state where you're struggling too much. It's simple. You just need to look back at this achievement that you had in the past and just appreciate it, because you have done something in the past. You have achieved success in the past. Even if you feel like you are not doing something, even if you feel like you are not progressing now, you have achieved something in the past. That is more than enough for you to have gratitude, and that is more than enough for you to be able to create that mindset to face problems further. The fifth step is to focus on the now. So you essentially focus on the current challenge, current tasks that you are facing, and you focus on the present time being instead of having regrets related to the past, or instead of worrying too much about the future. When you focus more on the current time being, it becomes much more easier for you to deal with negative emotions and negative thoughts in your mind, and by doing so you also develop the skill of dealing with your tendency to overthink. And also, when you focus on the current task at hand, and when you develop this tendency of focusing on the present moment, you find it easier to not think in general, and you find it easier to be more involved and focus more on the current task, because your full attention is in the task that is in front of you. And when you give your full attention that is towards the task in front of you, dealing with overthinking, like, you don't even have to deal with overthinking, because it doesn't even happen in the first place. And the sixth and final step is to remember your purpose and vision. So if you do not have a purpose and vision, I suggest you guys to figure it out by looking at what you're naturally good at. And there are certain things that you need to do. There are certain activities that you need to perform, and certain things that you need to become good at. That is what usually your purpose and your vision in life is. So set a vision for yourself based on things that you need to be doing. And if you have a purpose or a vision in life, just keep recalling that purpose and vision, and remember that this is what you need to do. Even if you have these challenges in front of you, even if you have this tendency to overthink and worry too much, if you remember your purpose and vision, it becomes easier for you to manage the negative thoughts and this tendency to overthink and this tendency to worry too much, because you will now think on a long term perspective, on a long enough time period instead of a short time period. When you think on a short time period, you obsess over your tendency to worry and overthink. When you think on a long enough time period, when you think about your purpose and vision, these won't seem like that big of a problem, and you won't give that much importance to your tendency to overthink. So because you won't give that much importance on your tendency to overthink, it'll be easier for you to deal with them. So that is all for this video. I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you have any questions, please comment below that in the comment section. If you disagreed upon something, if you did not understand something, please comment below that in the comment section as well. If you feel like this video might benefit someone that you know, feel free to share this. Tell them to watch this video and have open-ended discussions with them, in order to understand how is it that you can deal with overthinking in your situation and in their situation as well. Try to understand what are the problems that you face, what are the problems they face. You can exchange ideas, exchange solutions, and please feel free to have those discussions with other people that you know. And that's all for this video. Thank you for watching.